Mr. Bryce, I'd like to start with you, if that's all right. Now, in your testimony, you indicated that there are 4 factors that have been contributing to massive energy shortages and energy price spikes across Europe. First, you pointed to underinvestment. Now, domestically, we've seen some investors, some financiers, rather like BlackRock, divesting from companies that generate more than 25% of their revenues from thermal coal production. I've also heard of companies pressuring or threatening others who happen to determine that they don't want to divest from fossil fuels. Do you think this trend has had a direct impact or will have a direct impact on American energy security?
I think it already has, sir. And talking to people that I know who are in the energy sector, there's a shortage of capital available to drillers. And some of this is due to the fact, frankly, that the drilling and E&P sector burned through about $300 billion and just simply lost it. And consumers benefited from that destruction of capital. But now drillers are facing much more restrictive loan agreements and are having to live within their cash flow. But my point, more specifically in my written testimony, was on the underinvestment in hydrocarbon exploration and production in Europe, and the lack of production out of the North Sea, and then the Dutch also curtailing production from the Groningen field.
Right, and so you've indicated that over-reliance within Europe on imported energy has contributed to this energy insecurity in Europe.
Yes, sir.
And at the same time, the Biden administration seems to be proposing to increase royalty rates with the help of a number of members of Congress in the Democratic Party, and to tax coal and gas power companies. Now, coupled with the oil and gas leasing moratorium imposed by the Biden administration from the very outset of its administration, it seems like a lot for the energy industry to face. But more than the energy industry, we're concerned about, their customers, about the people who rely on those things. Do these kinds of actions have a direct impact on the ability or the willingness of companies to invest in domestic energy production?
Absolutely. And I think it's moreover, sir, the area where this is the most dangerous is in electric generation. And the fragilization of our electric grid, and what Meredith Angwin calls the fatal trifecta: too much dependence on renewables, too much dependence on imports, and too much dependence on natural gas. It directly threatens the viability and resilience of our electric grid. And this is the mother network. It is the most important energy network in our country, and it's getting scant attention from Washington.
Now, you've also stated that overinvestment on intermittent sources was driving up prices, as in California, where some consumers are projected to pay 3 times the national average for electricity. Do you think that the enactment of the Democrats' Clean Energy Performance Program, also described as the muscle behind President Biden's climate agenda, would likewise have a tendency to drive up energy costs throughout the United States?
There's no question about that, sir. I published a piece in Forbes a few weeks ago on the CEPP. Not only would it reduce the resilience, affordability, and reliability of the electric grid, it would be a handout of epic proportions to the solar and wind business. So that in many cases, they would be getting far more in federal subsidies than they would be getting in the wholesale market for their power they produce.
So for the same reasons, then, would it be a fair assumption that a simultaneous over-reliance on intermittent energy sources with that occurs at the same time as underinvestment in reliable sources, something that could result in Americans experiencing rolling power outages? Is that the sort of thing that could happen as a result of this?
Sir, I've experienced it firsthand. I experienced it February 15th at 2 a.m., and my lights went out for 45 hours. If I can just add one other quick point, to me, the idea that we would make our electric grid more reliant at a time when, due to climate change, we're expecting more extreme weather, to make our energy and power systems more dependent on the weather makes no sense at all.
And in some cases, it could threaten the lives of people. In other words, it can be more than just an inconvenience. For some, it can mean the difference between life and death.
700 people died in the blackouts in Texas, sir.
Thank you.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. Senator Hoeven?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nally, your testimony mentions that natural gas prices in the U.S. have tripled as of last month, and that areas like New England are at risk of higher price spikes due to limited pipeline capacity. Would more robust pipeline infrastructure